Hi ladies, and welcome back to another video. Okay, this one is going to be for you this time around. So this one is going to be about on why I think you should not find a rich husband, or at least not a rich husband without any of the traits that you really should be looking for. Okay, because just because he's wealthy, just because he's financially independent, just because he's able to take care of you financially, doesn't mean that he will have all the other traits that you should be looking for in a man. Okay, and usually, without those traits, he has nothing. It's like dating a broke man, basically. You'll be suffering in your relationship, and you'll be extremely unhappy, and despite him taking care of you financially. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the reasons on why you shouldn't necessarily be looking for a rich husband. Okay, and I know a lot of women, especially women like in the Eastern countries, right? In the Eastern European countries, they're always told like, oh, if it is a cute woman, right? If she's got the physical attributes, if she's got the right physical attributes, right? Or if she's pretty, right? If she's beautiful, then her parents are most likely going to tell her like, oh, find a rich husband, right? um, Anyways, once again, they're missing the point, right? I don't think they're necessarily conscious of what they're saying, right? They're probably projecting their own fears and insecurities onto the daughter, right? Or maybe they're just narcissists and they're only looking out for their own interests, right? So they know that if their daughter is taken care of, right, then they will be too, right? And once again, they probably don't believe in themselves, right? So they project all of this onto their kids, or in particular their daughters, right? And so, instead of telling them like, oh, go ahead and go to school, right? Or learn a skill, right? Develop that skill. Maybe start, offering your services, right? And maybe build a business, right? Instead of telling her that, they tell her, oh, go, honey, and find a rich husband, right? And you'll be better off, and we'll be better off too. So, I think that's ridiculous, to be honest with you, and it degrades a lot of women out there. Women aren't just their looks, right? We It doesn't matter what we look like, right? The physical is just the physical, right? We can always develop our inner traits if we really, really want to. Okay, it doesn't matter what you look like. I don't care. What matters is your will, right? Your and your desire to kind of, to gain some new skills and to learn things, right? It's your thirst for knowledge that matters the most, right? So it has nothing to do with your looks. So ladies, okay, the first thing, right, on why you shouldn't find a rich husband is, well, you would think that, okay, I'm beautiful, right? And so I'm going to try, and I'm young, I'm beautiful, right? And I'm going to try to find a rich husband, right? A guy with money. So, and he's just gonna give me that money. He's gonna pay for everything, right? And I'm just gonna live in the castle and do nothing for the rest of my life, right? Beep. Wrong, okay? That is wrong, wrong, wrong. That's not what's going to happen, okay? As everything has a trade-off, okay? You have to remember that it's not just about you, right? Things aren't just about you, they're also about the other person, right? And the other person, your man, right? Hint, hint, the guy with money, he's also motivated by something, okay? So everything has a price, okay? So if he's paying for you financially, okay, you're going to pay one way or another, okay? You have to also bring something to the table, okay? And you know, it can be anything. You might end up being emotionally, right? You'll be taking care of his needs, right? All of his needs. You'll be maybe you know, soothing him, right? Or making him feel better, or you'll be like his therapist, right? Listening to him and so on, right? It could also be physically, right? Could be sexual, right? It could be maybe he will want to have sex all the time, right? And maybe your you know, sexual drive, right, or sex drive is not as high as his, right? And if you refuse, you know, then there will be a price to pay for that, you know. So uh, there could be a potential danger with that too, right? Anyway, so one way or another, there will be a price to pay, right? So um, if you are looking for someone to take care of you financially, you better have some kind of a thing that you can offer him. Okay, be it maybe you're skilled somewhere, right? Maybe you know a lot about something, right? Or a lot about many different things, right? Maybe conversations with you are super interesting, right? So he'll have a good time with you. He'll be able to learn from you, right? And develop himself by being with you. Okay, so that's another thing that he might be looking for, right? So there's always a trade-off. Okay, so another thing, right, is that you're foregoing your own personal development, okay, by you know, looking for or getting together with someone just because of money, okay, for financial reasons, right? So yes, okay, he will be paying for you, right, and maybe you won't have to do anything, right? Or maybe he won't even let you develop yourself, right? Because I've noticed that guys with a lot of money, they tend to be extremely controlling, right? They think they can buy things and they can buy people too, okay? Of course, I'm not gonna stereotype, right? But this is just what I've seen in my life and in the past, okay? So you might not even be able to develop yourself, okay, as a person, because he might be afraid of like leaving you if you do, right? Of you leaving him. I mean, if you do, okay, if you do start learning and gaining some skills and so on, right? So anyway, so once you do if you do get together with someone for strictly financial reasons, you are you might also get extremely complacent, right? Kind of lazy. You won't want to do anything because you don't have the motivation, really. He's paying for, you've got all of your basic needs taken care of, right? He's paying for your food, he's paying for your housing, right? He's paying for all of your clothes and so on, right? So you don't really have the drive, you don't have the motivation to grow, right? To strive for something, um to create your own things, right? So you can make money, right? Because in a way, right, going after financial independence, right, or trying to make a living, it teaches you a lot about yourself. You grow as a person, right? Because you have to figure out how you can go about making the most amount of money, right? How you can survive, how you can feed yourself and perhaps your kids if you have them, right? So in the process, you develop a lot of inner qualities, okay? So once again, right, on the other end of the spectrum, right, by getting together with someone who is financially well off, who is going to take care of you financially, you're foregoing all of that, okay? You're not allowing yourself to develop, okay? All right, ladies. So another thing, right, is that your financially wealthy guy will most likely view you as just another toy that he can use, right? And when you expire, or get old, right? Or I don't know, reach that age that he's no longer attracted to, right? Then he's going to just throw you out and replace you with another new and shiny toy. Guy is simply just, he's looking for a trophy person, right? The trophy wife, if you're even going to get that title, right? He's probably just looking for someone to show off physically, right? To use physically, perhaps just to have sex with, and so you're basically, he's not going to be interested in your inner qualities that much. You know, if he's that type of a person, right? And in a lot of cases, that's what wealthy men want. They just want someone to kind of, you know, add to their collection, right? And so yeah, you know, so you're going to expire, right? And he's going to replace you, and it's as simple as that. All right, ladies, so what are the qualities that you should be looking for, you know, besides the guy being financially independent, right, and wealthy? Okay, guys, I'm not necessarily saying, right, that the guy has to be broke, right, financially broke. Of course not, right? But you know, if he values money, right, in most cases, if he values money, if money is his god, okay, then he's probably not gonna value you, first of all, right? So you're not gonna be his priority, right? And also, he's not gonna value like family, right? He's not gonna value your future kids. He's not gonna place you first, okay? You know, those are rare situations when a guy can kind of do both, right? But in most cases, when the guy values money, then you probably won't get to see him that much, right? You guys will, he'll probably always be working, right? And you know, so what's the point of getting into a relationship with someone when you probably won't even see him at all or barely, right? So yeah, yeah, you have to also keep that in mind, right? If he has money, then you know, what's his schedule look like, right? What are his priorities, right? So you have to figure that out. You know, find out what his values are, right? First and foremost. Next one is, or this one should have been first, right? Is you should look for someone with empathy, right? Someone who can empathize in case, you know, something goes wrong, right? So maybe I remember I should have, you know, I didn't know it at the time, right? And I kind of chose not to see it, right? So this was a huge red flag, right? Anyway, so in most cases, if we do get into a relationship with a narcissist, for example, right, or a disordered individual, in most cases, it's our own fault, okay? I know we like to blame them, right? It's the narcissist, right? No, actually, everyone has free will, right? And we, you know, we're intelligent beings, right? And we can choose to see certain things, or we can choose to ignore them, right? And in most cases, most of us do ignore the red flags that come up, right? I know that I ignored a lot of red flags when I got into a relationship with a disordered individual, right? And one of the red flags was him demonstrating a lack of empathy, basically. I think it was like New Year's or something, right? And I got really, really sick, right? And we were already dating, right? And it was fair for me to assume that, you know, perhaps because I got sick, maybe he would bring me some soup, right? And he would just choose to spend it with me and cuddle, right, together, and kind of understand that, okay, I got sick, right? But because he cared about me, right, he would stay with me. He would spend that special day with me, right? Anyways, but lo and behold, he didn't. You know, he ended up like running, you know, to his buddies, and he just spent the New Year's with his buddies and like partying and drinking and so on, right? Anyways, while I was sick in bed, all by myself, you know. Anyway, so it's just things like this, like empathy, right? Like, um, it's extremely important, okay? Without empathy, you'll be treated like an object, basically. Another thing is, right, is how does he treat other people, right? Does he think he's better than everyone else? Does he only treat you well in the beginning, and maybe he disregards and like looks down on like servers and waiters, right? And um, you know anyone that seems below him, right? Anyways, how about him talking about, how does he talk about his past relationships? Does he blame them, or does he take responsibility? So if he does blame his girlfriends for everything, right? Um, and if he just plays the victim, right, then that means he's not emotionally mature. That means he hasn't learned from his past, and he's not willing to take responsibility. Okay, so that's another thing that you should definitely be looking for in a guy. Okay, and what else? And yeah, also, of course, I talked about this in my other video, right? But it was made for guys. So make sure that he's interested in growth. Make sure he's not lazy. Make sure that he treats himself well, right? That he has a good relationship with his body, and with himself, right? Does he talk? Does he talk well about himself, right? Is he kind to himself? Does he take care of himself? Physically and emotionally, right, and spiritually. So, of course, once again, this has to do with if he can't treat himself well, then he won't be able to treat you well either. Okay, so yeah, so these are just some of the things that you should look for in a guy too. Okay. Okay, guys. So another thing, and I would say that this one is a really dangerous thing, and the reason being is because sometimes by relying on someone financially, right, you end up getting into a relationship with a really, really wrong person, right? And in a lot of cases, guys, unfortunately, right, disordered individuals, right? So people like psychopaths and narcissists, right? They tend to be extremely power hungry. Okay, so the fact of the matter is that they need to be in charge, right? So a lot of them go after professions such as they become police officers, right? So any positions of power, right? They become CEOs, they become doctors, they become chefs. Individuals, they go after positions of power, and in turn they kind of gain success financially, right? Or they become relatively wealthy. And so you are that's what they're, because that's what these disordered individuals are motivated by, right? They know that by having money they can control people, they can do things that they want, they can do whatever they want, and probably even get away with it in certain countries, right? By paying people off and so on, right? So anyways, so if you do get end up with an individual like this, okay, which is very likely, okay, especially if you've experienced abuse in your past as a child, right? Then you're gonna be in a very bad position. You're going to be in a very bad situation, right? Because by relying on someone financially, right, you start to depend on them for everything, right? So you start depending on them for your food, for a place to live, right? And for all of your needs, right? Or all of your physical needs at least, right? And so he knows this, right? And a disordered individual will take advantage of that, okay? So he's going to, I've known many women like this, right? In these situations. And so their guy would like cheat on them, and she just couldn't do anything. She knew about it, and he would just do it openly. And he would just talk to her like she's trash. He would just completely like emotionally abuse her and tell her that she's got nothing, and I've been in this situation myself, guys. Not because I didn't love the guy, not because he was a wealthy older guy. No, no, the guy wasn't wealthy at all. He was actually kind of broke when we started dating, right? But eventually he started making money, right? And I we moved into a new city, right? And so I didn't know anyone, right? It was in San Francisco. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job. He already had a job lined up, right, when we moved in. And so I kind of, of course, as soon as we moved there, I started looking for a job right away, right? And I did find one, but I wasn't making enough money, of course. Our rent was way too high, right? So he ended up paying for most of the rent, right? While I paid for my own expenses still, right? But still, he ended up for paying for most of the rent. And anyway, so the things that he would tell me, right, for example, is like, um, you know, you are a guest here. This isn't your place. You're just staying here because I'm letting you. This isn't yours. This isn't your couch. This isn't your, living room. This isn't your room. Uh, so things like that, right? Basically, so very like abusive things, and yeah, and of course I couldn't really do anything about it. Of course, I didn't like the way that he was talking to me, and I told him this, right? Yeah, let's just say that you can fall into a very similar situation, right? And he can end up doing whatever he wants, and telling you that, hey, listen, he knows you depend on him financially, right? So he's gonna say like, look, just be quiet. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you have no say because you don't have a house to go to. Like, you're isolated, right? Narcissistic individuals will isolate you, so you will have nobody to come back to. You will have nowhere to go if you need to leave the toxic situation, right? So you'll be stuck in a very toxic situation with no money, right? With no help, and you'll just be suffering all of this abuse. Yeah. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, okay? Please like and subscribe if you did. All right, I have a lot of other videos coming up, and yeah, much love to you guys, and I love you very much. Mwah!